Little Cavs trade deadline coming up after we speak on the Myles Garrett press tour. But first, a quick word from FanDuel. Super Bowl 59, one game, two teams, endless possibilities, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether you're predicting the first touchdown, who will take home the MVP trophy, or the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to place your bets and feel the thrill of every moment. With live betting all game long, you can jump into the action, adjust your bets, and ride the wave of excitement from kickoff to the final whistle. Plus, to make the Super Bowl even sweeter, new customers can score $200 when you make your first bet. Just place a $5 bet, and if you win, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com/UCSS to bet with FanDuel, an official partner of Super Bowl 59. Well, Myles Garrett requested a trade earlier this week and then doubled down on that at the Super Bowl on Wednesday. He went on every radio station, podcast, TV show known to man on Radio Row and essentially said, my vision of the future and the Browns' vision of the future do not align. Guys, what'd you make of A, Myles Garrett doing the entire press gauntlet, and B, is there any coming back from this now that he made all his thoughts as public as he did yesterday?
I'm glad you said that because I've heard a lot of people, a lot of media members and people say, you can't come back from this. That's no offense to you, Mike. Is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. What do you mean you can't come back?
I just asked the question.
Yeah, you asked it. That's true. You weren't saying it was the case. I saw my man Darryl Ryder. You can't. The bridge has been burned. You can't come back. Yes, you can.
Yeah.
If the Browns decide we're not trading him, he has no recourse. His only recourse, if the Browns decide that, is to sit out. What are the odds that Myles Garrett's going to sit out?
Yeah, he can sit out.
How'd that work for Le'Veon Bell?
I think he'd sit out for maybe a couple of weeks. And then he'd be like,
think he would?
And then he'd be like, you know what? I missed the game of football. I do. Outside of the fact that I am at a disagreement with management, this happens a lot.
Yeah.
I hate the people upstairs, but I love the people in the locker room. So I don't want to like affect them because I care about them. So like,
right.
I think eventually he'll end up playing because of the camaraderie of the team. But you like, man, I don't really want to help the people upstairs either. So I think ultimately, the love for his teammates will help him. I think he would miss like 2 or 3 games though to try to prove a point.
You think so, Jason? You think he'd sit out? If the Browns said, hey, we're not trading you, that's it.
I think
because it's complicated to trade him. I'm sorry, I just kind of spit on you a little bit.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you threw a lot at me. I don't know where to start with that.
Yeah.
I think Myles is following the advice of people guiding him.
LeBron James.
No. This is LeBron.
Don't blame LeBron for this.
And we're going to talk about the LeBron aspect later in the show.
All
So
right.
save your thoughts on the LeBron for a little later.
Myles did not sit down and think, I'm going to craft this letter. I'm going to drop it at 11 a.m. morning of Super Bowl week, and I'm going to do a media tour. He didn't come up with that. Like, he's being directed to do that, which is fine. Like, this is the approach they're going to take. They can do that. But this idea that he can't come back from that. 2 examples.
Yeah.
Kobe went on Stephen A. Smith and said, I will never play another game for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yes, he did.
Now there's a statue of him outside that building.
That's right.
And he never played a game for anyone outside of that.
That's right.
Go back and look at Michael Strahan. Look what Michael Strahan did with the Giants. And he accused the Giants of not trying to be competitive, of basically sabotaging contract negotiations, said demanding a trade, he'll never play another game for the Giants. Michael Strahan only played for the Giants. Of course you can come back from this.
That's right.
Myles is making his position known. He's allowed to do that. It's within his right. And they're going on the attack here. They're going on the offensive. I would trade him. But I wouldn't trade him because he's asking for a trade.
Right.
I would trade him because I think it's within the best interest of the franchise.
And that's the tricky part for me is I just said a week before this demand the Browns should trade him.
Yeah.
And I feel like they should. But part of me is like, don't let him push you around.
No, you can't do that. You can't do that. But you have to operate within. Because I'll go back to.
He's lost some fan support by doing this Radio Row stuff.
He can't
that
worry about
doesn't
that.
matter.
He can't worry about
but
that.
He has.
Yeah.
Why would he care? Never mind.
I told you.
I love it. I love the honesty. I think he was very honest with his comments. But let me just to say, even though there was part of me is like, if I were the Browns, I'd be like, screw him.
Yeah.
But in the end, I do think it's better for the team to trade him. But it's hard to do because of the cap.
It's easier to do if you do it after June.
Right, but then he gets that bonus.
Fine. But you need to focus on 26 picks anyway, not 25 picks. Like, trade him for picks in 2026.
This is the problem is everybody, to the fans, it's like, all right, if we trade Myles, then we need something like to be competitive. The problem is you got to just understand that the Browns are just not going to be that competitive in the next few years. It's just what it is. Like at some point, you're going to be, and it's not just the Myles being traded thing. It's the fact that the contract with the quarterback and the fact that you missed on the development of the younger guys led you to this point to where you're gonna have to be bad for a couple of years. It's just like the 0-16 and 1-15 season. Like you have to sacrifice. Because, like I said, that dome open in 29, 28, we better be in the playoffs. So
nobody wants to hear.
I
about
know they don't want to hear that.
But that's
I
the reality.
understand. That's what it is.
The reality is when they get a quarterback, that's when they'll turn it around.
Okay.
When that happens, I don't know.
Even if you go get a rookie, even if you go get Kirk Cousins, Justin Fields,
I don't
all
want any
of
of those guys.
It's not very seldom. Everybody looks at the last couple of years with CJ and with Jaden Daniels and all those quarterbacks from last year. It don't happen like that all the time. Like, it just doesn't happen.
I'm just saying that is the only way it turns around in a hurry. That is unlikely, though. That is an unlikely scenario.
What are you trying to accomplish?
Trying to win a Super Bowl.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who's the quarterback, either in the draft or in free agency?
None.
Who is you're going to put on this team next year, and you're going to keep Myles Garrett, and you're going to keep this group together.
Yeah.
And you're going to beat some combination of Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes to get to the Super Bowl.
No, the Browns have no chance to win the Super Bowl
None.
for the next 2 years.
Zero.
No chance.
So what are we doing
here?
Yeah,
right.
That's why you trade them.
Listen, the Browns should just go ahead and look. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. All right, check this. We're going to end up trading Myles Garrett, all right? We're going to get some picks in the future and all those things. But over the next couple of years, we're going back to the Kevin Stefanski thing anyway. So we just need us a serviceable quarterback. But we're going to be running the ball a lot. So we need to make sure we get that line fixed, make sure we
get a running back.
That's what I was
Here's the problem.
We're going to take this year, not in the first round, not no Ashton Genty or anything like that. There's plenty of running backs in this draft. It's like 10 of them off the top of the head that you can pick that will be good NFL players. So at some point in this draft, you go get you a running back, you pair him up with Jerome Ford, Nick Chubb, and all those things. I would bring Nick Chubb back for another year, have that little trio of running backs right there with the rookie probably by the end of the year taking over the Rams. And we're going to be we're going to run our zone. We're going to run our over routes with Judy and David Njoku, and we just what we're going to do. And we're going to have to play some really good defense.
Let me just say this because we've sidebarred off the Myles Garrett thing and I want to get back to it in a second, but just wanted to get your guys' thoughts because I brought this up yesterday. The one tricky thing here is that Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski, their jobs are probably on the line this year. Right?
That's what we think.
That's what we think. I don't know.
Nobody knows that.
Right. Okay. But what I'm saying is, I said yesterday, if I'm Jimmy Haslam, what I would do is I'd fire Andrew Berry immediately because I don't trust. Do you guys trust him to get it right in the draft the next 2 years?
I'm conflicted on that because they've had no number one picks.
Well, they had two, and he drafted Jed Wills and Greg Newsome.
And they weren't busts. They weren't knock it out of the park.
They're subpar starters. That's what they are, in my opinion.
Well, G. New is a
starter. And I've said this before, the longer you're at a job, the better you should get at it.
Well, not everybody.
But you should. You should learn from your mistakes. I mean, listen, certainly there's a case to fire Andrew Berry. 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
Again, I've said it before, I think Berry was in on first on Deshaun. I think Haslam is the one that wanted to guarantee the whole thing. I don't think Andrew.
Well, that's the only thing that makes sense. That's why he hasn't been fired.
So if Jimmy's telling him, this is on me, guys. Yeah. Like, all right, we're going to get out of this together.
Right.
Like, no matter what it takes, we're going to get out of this together. I could see why he would keep him.
If they do, okay, whether they fire Andrew Berry or not, like I said, I would fire him and I would talk to Kevin, whatever. Let's say he decides to keep them both, which it seems like he has. Okay. I would think that Myles Garrett, using Andrew Berry's words in his face, might be the final humiliation, kind of like the Three Stooges with Joe Banner that would get him fired, but okay. If that's not the case, if he's not going to fire them, Jimmy Haslam needs to make it abundantly clear to Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry, your jobs are safe. We need to make decisions in this draft that are better for the long-term health of this franchise and not for winning this year.
You know what else Jimmy should – I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine.
Jimmy should also make clear to them, I'm going to gag myself and
Yes.
handcuff myself.
Yes.
Throw me in the attic.
Yes.
And I'll come out in January.
And take his hillbilly brother-in-law with him,
you
son-in-law.
can't say that.
Well, he's not a hillbilly?
You stop.
They
Can't say
gotta
hillbilly.
they put themselves in a situation like the Rams did when they traded all in. But obviously for the Rams, it worked for them.
Because they were close.
But what I'm saying is,
Yeah.
you thought that after that happened, they would have that 1 year. You thought that they would have to make some tough decisions. You know, they wouldn't be able to continue this success. But the reason that they are is because they ended up finding Puka and Kyron Williams. They hit on their first round
drafted
pick.
well, unlike the Browns.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Like, so at some point, that's where it is. Like, you're at the point now where the draft, you have to get these guys. You did the throw money at the situation. You did the mortgage your future to try to get the proven star now, and it didn't work. Now you got to go back to the old school way of making sure that you do your due diligence on your draft and make sure that you're drafting guys that can come in and fit your system and be productive.
Yeah, I'm just saying Barry's done a bad job with the draft so far. Yes, he has not had 3 first-round picks the last few years, but there's nothing standout in what he's done. JOK is the only standout player, and we don't know if he's ever going to play again. So let's get back to Myles Garrett specifically. Do you think he did the right thing doing all this media yesterday?
I think ultimately everybody, if you're a Browns fan and you hate Myles Garrett for requesting a trade and all those things, to be honest with you, I love the fact that he's finally being public and putting pressure. Like, you know that they're trying to do something to at least make this team better. Like, they can't sell us on the, oh, yeah, we're going to trust our processes and all those things. No. We ain't got time for that. Like, what you going to do with this right here? Like, we need answers on this. And I think Myles want to know. And Myles really, you could tell he cared about everybody else because he took it upon himself. Denzel couldn't go do that, or Deshaun don't got the clout. Judy don't got the clout to do that. He the only person on the Browns team in that locker room that has the clout to go up there and say, show me what we about to do. Show me the plan. And obviously the plan ain't good to him, so he requested a trade. Yeah. So sending it back to the locker room, the rest of the players is probably like, oh, it must have not been good if Myles is asking for a trade.
Well, that's not bad. That's not good for the team. Okay, but not good for the fans.
But now it's like, all right, now they got to go back and, well, we need to go reassess some stuff then. We need to go figure out some stuff. Like, I think it's making them think about what they got to do, because obviously what they thought that they was coming up with ain't good enough for certain players.
But what could they have possibly said that he would have liked?
I don't know, but you obviously whatever they said wasn't good enough. So they probably it at least puts the thoughts in their head like we might need to go rethink this again.
Yeah.
To that question, Bo, I was thinking, what could the Browns have told him that he would have been like, okay? The only answer I could think of,
there's nothing you could say,
was that Matthew Stafford wants to come to Cleveland. And I think that's incredibly unlikely.
No. Here's what happened.
Matthew Stafford would have to get divorced to come to Cleveland because his wife.
That's what I'm saying. Very unlikely, but that was the only thing I could think of that may give him hope that this is a Super Bowl contender.
It, Myles Garrett has kind of wanted to leave for a couple of years. His family encouraged him to kind of stay, and I think that's changed in the last year because it's clear now that it's going to be a while or it's most likely going to be a while till the Browns are able to win, if at all, in his career. And so it does make sense for the Browns to move on, and it does make sense for him to want to move on. And by the way, you mentioned Nick Chubb. If I'm Nick Chubb, I'd want to play somewhere else too. I hate to say it.
Everybody would. Who wants to be part of this?
Yeah.
Like who? Unless you've got deep family ties where you've really sunk down roots, you got married, you got kids that are in schools here, whatever else. I don't know why.
If Denzel is going to say he might want to be traded, and he's from here,
you can't pay any attention to that. Denzel ain't going anywhere.
No, I know that.
You can say whatever you want.
He doesn't have the cachet.
I said that the other day.
And by the way, I don't think he's got a lot of trade value because of the concussions.
No,
Who's
he
going to
doesn't
trade
have
for
trade
him?
value. No.
He's one hit away from retirement.
Yeah.
So sorry, Denzel, you're stuck. Like you ain't going anywhere.
Yeah. All right, Mike. What do you got?
No, let me ask you, and we'll do a little more of the Denzel stuff.
Good. I like Denzel.
I do too.
In terms of Myles, boy, I put in the chat. Did Myles' Radio Row press tour piss you off as a Browns fan?
Not at all.
What do you think? What do you think the response was from the chat? We have over 600 votes.
Not at all.
I think it was over 50% because the tone changed.
Nope.
Because 2 days ago, when I was talking about it on Twitter, everybody was mad at the Browns. And people are still mad at the Browns, but there was a lot. When I said this is silly that people are blaming LeBron, a lot of people got mad and were blaming LeBron, blaming Myles Garrett, and to some degree taking the Browns off the hook because of this tour.
No.
I think it felt triggering to fans the way LeBron, did the TV show to leave. And it felt like that to some degree. So I bet you more than 50% were mad at him.
I bet you they didn't, because all Myles did was voice the same concerns that the fans had. So they probably was like, yeah, that's what I'm glad somebody else said it.
What was it, Mike?
Well, we got one for you think the fans are mad. We have one for you they don't think the fans are mad. Jason, break the tie before I tell you.
Majority fans are mad.
According to the YouTube chat, which has been up for 13 minutes now, over 600 votes, 41% said yes, they were pissed off at the radio tour, and 59, it's actually up to 60 now.
They understand.
Said no, they were not.
They get it.
And right, but if it was not for the radio tour, and you said, "Are you pissed at Myles Garrett for wanting to be traded?" I bet you would have been 10% would have been pissed.
That's probably fair.
I feel the radio tour made it worse for his PR with fans. That doesn't really matter, it did.
I do feel like the public sentiment did kind of just switch in terms of who they looked at as the villain in this instance. And I do think some, not all, and the chat poll shows that even maybe a majority are not in this category, but some people felt like Myles kind of dragged the organization through the mud. And from an organizational standpoint, it felt like some of the public sentiment was, we've done everything we can to make you happy, Myles. I know we haven't had the success on the field, but it wasn't for a lack of trying. We didn't like how you kind of flirted with other teams openly in front of our face.
Yeah. I will say this. All of a sudden, I got about 8 tweets from people saying that Myles Garrett got Baker Mayfield forced out of town.
That's not true.
There's no truth to that at all.
That's ridiculous.
Now, yes, Myles was pissed when Baker spoke after the helmet incident. Myles was pissed at the time.
Yeah.
But Myles didn't get Baker forced out of town. That's ridiculous. And I saw a number of people tweeting that, and I was like, where is this coming from?
By the way, the defensive end doesn't get the quarterback forced out of
No.
town. The quarterback gets the defensive end forced out of town.
that didn't happen.
That's ridiculous. Now, they were not close. Myles and Baker did not have a relationship
But
at all.
Myles didn't get him forced out of town. That's stupid.
If Baker would have picked up the phone
Baker got himself forced out of town.
One of the 17 times that Kevin or Jimmy tried calling him.
Yeah.
I mean, there's 100 different ways that could end differently.
Yeah.
But that had nothing to do with it.
That was just ridiculous.
But one thing about the fans.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's getting mad at me for saying this. Players and teams don't care about the fans.
I said that a while ago.
They don't. Unless
teams, you don't think any players care about the fans at all?
Very, very few.
They care more
Very
about
few.
my teammate and coaches.
Yes.
Sure, of course.
Fans.
But unless it rises to the level of the Deshaun thing, which is a whole separate category for a bunch of different reasons, teams can't worry about the fans. Players don't worry about fan reaction.
No, of course not.
It's they use the fans as a meat shield when it becomes convenient to their cause.
That's right.
But for the most part, they don't care.
No. When you say you don't care, they don't care. Obviously, the fans are never the first priority.
No.
But I think I would bet a lot of players, if you said, "Oh, I love that the fans cheer for me and all that stuff," right? Like you care on at least some percentage. You care. The owners don't care about the fans at all. Zero.
In a lot of regard, you can't.
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked to numerous GMs across different sports who say, if you worry about the fans, if you think like the fans, you're going to be sitting with them.
If you're a GM and you care about the fans, you're a bad GM.
You think the Mavericks cared about the
of course
fans
not.
when they traded Luka?
No.
Can I tell you guys a tweet I got the other day?
Clearly, yeah.
Myles requested the trade on Monday.
Yeah.
I got 2 tweets. One from, I'm not going to mention his name, but we've had a bunch of back and forth. I don't know this person in real life, but we've become friendly on Twitter at least. And he tweeted at me and Earl and said, "I love UCSS, but I can no longer watch your guys' negative tone towards the Browns is the reason Myles wants out." And on the one hand, I was so honored that this person thought we, as a collective show, had enough of a voice to sway the opinion of the front office and/or a player. I was honored. That's the biggest compliment we could get. I also did not know how to tell him that maybe the silliest comment I've ever heard in my entire life.
Oh, I've been blamed for running Baker out of town for years.
You were one of the ones that ran him out of town.
Me too.
You ran him out of town. Look at you Baker haters.
Yes, that's fair. But
I'm with Jay Crawford.
Yeah.
Go Bake.
Go Bake.
Would Jay trade the number 2 pick in the draft for Baker Mayfield?
Yeah.
100% he would.
Yes. Yes, he would. I don't even know why you asked that. Yes. He'll say that Baker is a proven quarterback. He's cleaned up his act. He has gotten to the playoffs. He threw for what, dang near 5,000 yards this past season.
Yeah, he had a heck of a season.
Yeah, so why would you? What guy in the draft is you gonna get better than that? That's what Jay is saying.
You're not gonna get a quarterback better than most likely.
That's
not.
the point.
I don't know. I shouldn't say that.
And Jay would say, well, what does this team need the most right now?
Quarterback.
All right, then.
Yeah, but Baker to me is a quarterback that can't overcome lack of talent. There's only 4 quarterbacks that can to some degree.
Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes,
Burrow and Lamar.
That's it.
Well, Burrow's never really had lack of talent.
That's fair. Well, I mean, Jamar
Lamar
Chase and
has.
Higgins have missed a number of games here and there.
But they've all said it ain't been out at the same time.
It's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Nick, do you think Nick Chubb might sign with another team? Like, you think Nick? I mean, he's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he ain't gonna get much.
No, I said he ain't gonna get much.
I mean, if you're another team that needs like a number 2, like if you're number 1 back, I was going to use the Bengals as an example, but people are going to get mad, but I'll do it anyway. The Bengals lead running back, really good player.
Use the Cowboys. They have Rico Dowdle and nobody.
Okay, right?
Go.
Like
I'll help you out here, bro.
Myles, thank you. Nick Chubb is a perfect number 2, like between the tackles.
He'd be
back.
a number 1. What are you talking about in Dallas?
Well, Rico Dowdle was really good the second half of last year.
I understand that, but
but you can't go into the season expecting Nick Chubb to be your number 1.
I
He could
agree.
end up being, but you can't have that.
That's the mistake we made last year. So
what's that?
That's the mistake we made last year.
And but Nick Chubb could end up being on a cheap contract. Could end up if he bounces back.
He should go to the Chiefs.
Being a huge. Oh God, that'd be terrible. Go ahead.